Welcome to the Fret Prince Podcast, improvisation topics for guitar.
Hello, and welcome to this episode. In the past several episodes, we've talked about A minor, A major as tonic chords, and we've discussed different ways to work with the 5 and the subdominant, of which 4 or the 2. And so today we're going to continue talking about major. And so we'll talk about the predominant chord. So let's talk about the progression. We're thinking about our goal is to get to the 2-5 here in A major. And so let's begin by talking about another predominant chord, which is the 4 chord in the key of A. This is D. So here's one way to arrive at another predominant, which you can use too. So 4, 5 to 1. So let's talk a little bit about this. So if we took this kind of standard bar chord and we take a look at the 4th string, 3rd string, and the 2nd string, we have a second inversion, D major. And we're kind of doubling this voice here. So up an octave or down an octave. So why don't we just add another note? So we could keep this second inversion, D major, and put it over B natural. And see, notice that we could rename this as the B minor 7. So from B minor, this looks like B, A, D, F sharp, and relative to B, we have the root, flat 7, minor 3rd, and the 5th. Okay, and this works out really nicely, moving to one of our 9 chords, like how about the E9. So the root jumps up, circle of 5ths, flat 7 resolves down to the 3rd of the E, and then the flat 3rd remains the same, becomes the flat 7, and then the 5th becomes the 9 of the E7. So that's a nice change there. Another thing we can try to do is maybe have the B minor 7 move to E7 with a flat 9. And so then the 5th of the B minor is moving down to the flat 9 of the E. Okay, now let's talk about, and I think we've talked about this before with minor, but we can also use this in major. So let's take a look at the D minor chord as a predominant. And you can see that just as we did with the major, these notes on the 4th string, 3rd, and 2nd are the second inversion of a D minor chord. And if we take this low note here, which we have an octave higher in our voicing, and move it down to the B, then we get a B minor 7 flat 5. Okay. Or we have D minor over the B chord. So this one can move pretty nicely into the E7 flat 9. because the flat fifth of the B minor 7 on the second string becomes the flat 9 of the 5 chord and can resolve into the fifth of the 1 chord. And then we see that fifth moves, or the root of this moves up a fourth. The flat 7 of the B minor goes down to the third of the new chord. Flat 3 becomes the flat 7, so pitch remains the same. And then the flat 5 becomes the flat 9, pitch stays the same. So the two lower voices are changing, two upper voices are staying the same, then resolves into the A major. And one other thing to notice is that this, I'm playing A major 7, and so this is a second inversion of C sharp minor over the A, right? And so notice that that's a half step above the D minor chord, or D minor triad, although we had a B below that. So from starting to ending, we have this going to this. So that's a nice motion. And one kind of neat thing is if you are on B flat major 7, and then you put the root up, half step, and then moves nicely into the A flat, or the A major, rather. So you might check out a tune like A Search for Peace, or no, just Peace, rather, by Horace Silver, for those kinds of movements. Okay, so a couple things to think about. We have the B minor 7 and the B minor 7 flat 5. So both good choices for moving to a major. And you'll find a lot of Cole Porter tunes that have a 2 minor 7 flat 5 like this, going into 5, flat 9, and to a major. And it has a really nice effect on the ear because we're thinking maybe this is minor. And so when we hear major, it's a nice feeling for the ear to hear that. And then a couple of other things. So when you're playing on a minor 7 flat 5, you can use the key of, in this case, the key of 3 sharps, A major, starting, or sorry, minor 7 flat 5, you can use the all natural. So on the B minor with the natural 9, we can use the key of 3 sharps. So that's the Dorian. And on the B minor 7 flat 5, we can use all natural, so Locrian. For that. And then another option there is to try the D melodic minor on the B minor 7 flat 5. So there we get the natural 9. So another option to think about there. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this talk. I hope it gives you a little more insight into the 2 5s going to major, and it's specifically the predominant chords. Well, thanks for listening, and I hope you can tune in again next week. And I hope you have a great practice week.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Fret Prince podcast. Be sure to rate and subscribe. You can also follow on Twitter and Facebook. Visit fretprince.com for articles, video,